Hey guys, it's Matt here, and today I'm doing another episode of Matt Rants. So, I know that some of these Matt Rants that are going to be coming out soon are stories from literally last year. Haha, get those jokes out of the way. So, some of those will be stuff from last year, from a few days ago. Just want to get all these out because this is stuff that I've wanted to talk about but haven't had the chance to or haven't been able to either record or encode them or things like that. So, I'm going to be putting out at least 2 to 3 Matt Rants a day, depending on the day. Hopefully, these videos will be a lot shorter than some other Matt Rants because I just want to get my thoughts out and give a little bit of the context, but not give you guys 20-minute Matt Rants. Although it might happen, I don't know what'll happen in the editing room afterwards. But either way, in this video, as you can tell from the title and the thumbnail, talking about SouljaBoy again. Have not talked about SouljaBoy as much as other YouTube channels. Didn't really want to get on that hype train because I saw everybody else talking about it, and I was like, what can I really say? But then if you guys know, this being a third video, the first one, he released more consoles to the point where I was like, all right, this is way too many for someone to be doing in this short amount of time. Like, you're looking at Sega and you're like, hold my beer, and the amount of consoles that he released. And then he ended up saying some slurs, some homophobic slurs against YouTubers and people in general who are criticizing him, and I was not okay with that because I have friends in the LGBTQ plus community, and I want fans of this channel who are in that community to feel safe and secure in the gaming community. So I was not going to let him just kind of get away with that and not say something on the matter. And then this time, this third video, this is the third movie. Usually movies are actually bad at this point, but we have some good news. SouljaBoy has actually taken down, or whoever's running SouljaBoy's site has actually taken down all of the consoles, if you want to call them that. It's very hard for me to think of the word console to call it one because it's really not. But still, the consoles have been removed from his website, and he actually made a tweet. I'm going to read that to you guys in a second. But how interesting is it, though? Because I thought everything he was doing was illegal. Maybe he sold out. I mean, he sold so many, according to him, so maybe he just sold out. But it's so interesting that he had all of them removed. Very strange, very odd. Now, getting his exact tweet here, his exact tweet was, I had to boss up, I didn't have a choice. And then an emoji that kind of had his hands up shrugging. And by the way, this tweet will be linked down in the description box down below, along with his website, you can see that none of the consoles are up there. It's just very interesting because, and this is just pure speculation now on my end, but I talked about how Nintendo was suing some Nintendo Switch modders and NES Classic modders, in one in particular, but they had mentioned that there were more people on the I'm going to call it the docket. It's not, they didn't actually call it a docket, but more people on the list, more plaintiffs. I believe plaintiffs was the right word, but the point is that more people that they were looking at suing, and they didn't say outright that it was SouljaBoy or his real name. But here's the thing. I'm curious if he might be one of those 100 people. Now, the representative, the lawyer from Nintendo, did not comment on that. I talked about this when I talked about that Matt Rants. I believe it was the last Matt Rants that we did. The point is, though, is that, again, it's very interesting that, SouljaBoy was, he was so passionate, if you will. Some people call it a gaming moment, if you will. I wouldn't, but some people do, that he had such a gaming moment when he threw out those homophobic slurs, and yet, for some reason, we're sitting here now, and he says he had to boss up. So it's not like he sold out. He's actually not admitting that he was wrong necessarily, although he kind of is. Very roundabout way of not having to apologize, but still saying that you're wrong. And now he's removed these consoles. And I just want to say, I'm actually happy that people will stop talking about this. And the reason why is because I will admit, yeah, a lot of different YouTubers, every little thing that SouljaBoy ended up doing, they ended up releasing a new video about it or something like that. But here's the thing, though. The reason why they did that, and this is just my opinion, my take on it as we kind of wrap this thing up, it's the fact that he was doing this on U.S. soil. It's not like this was a random faceless Chinese company in China or outside the US, and not Japan based, obviously, because Nintendo could probably do something a bit easier home base. But a company that is outside of the realms of the US or Japan doing this, and Nintendo going, well, it would cost us more money to actually go after them. This is on US soil with US laws where US laws apply. So to have him do this and not even be humble about it, and then actually critique is such a strong word to use when really just throwing out slurs isn't necessarily critique. Throwing out slurs against other YouTubers and things like that, and the media in general, it is just one of those things where, I mentioned this the last Matt Rants, but I'll still bring it up in case some of you guys are new to the channel. The fact that he's trying to claim to be a businessman and he's trying to have his own esports league, and the fact that he considers himself a player, a video game player, it just doesn't look good, not only on him, but it sadly ends up reflecting on us, because that's what the gaming community looks like if we let someone like him become a huge voice and we don't actually shut that shit down when we can. So that's the reason why I ended up started talking about it. And maybe other people had ulterior motives. I don't know these YouTubers personally, so I can't speak for them. I can only speak for myself. It's just that at the end of the day, for those of you that were saying, oh, but these YouTubers, they ended up giving him so much more exposure, I think we're really still underestimating. Like, look, I'm not saying that YouTube isn't a great platform to speak your mind on, and that news doesn't travel fast through YouTube, and sometimes even rumors end up becoming news, even though really they're just baseless rumors. That ends up happening on YouTube. So don't get me wrong, YouTube is a platform for news. I was gonna call it YouTube for a second. It's like, no. YouTube can be a platform for news. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I feel as if we say, oh, YouTubers are the ones that, gave him all this free publicity, it would be like saying, if I was a YouTuber reporting on like Al Capone back in the day, imagine if YouTube was out back in the day, people being like, you're giving Al Capone so much free publicity. It's like, he's a criminal, right? Like, SouljaBoy is currently doing criminal activities and is literally so brazen and bold about it that he's just literally saying out loud, look at me doing this. It wasn't even like he, was doing this from a position of like an investor, but doesn't really put your name on it. I just say like an investor. So an investor, a nameless, faceless investor who just puts his money in there and then all of a sudden, oh no, it's just one of my random investments. Whoops. No, he pushed himself. I mean, he put that on his own website. So to be so brazen and bold about it, it wasn't like the media still exists, guys. Like, I know we're cool. We're so cool as YouTubers, aren't we? That's sarcasm. We're so cool and hip and young and youthful, but websites still exist. And mainstream media still exists. So, yes, I haven't really seen mainstream media talk about SouljaBoy, so I'm referring to television in this case. But I saw online articles posting about SouljaBoy doing this before I even heard other YouTubers talk about it. And another thing I want to mention as well before we officially wrap this thing up, sometimes I say wrap this up and then it goes on for a bit longer. I want to see SouljaBoy's Twitter following just for a second, just to prove my dang point. SouljaBoy has 5.3 million followers. Now, I know that a bunch of YouTubers talking about this could definitely equate to more than 5.3 million people that follow SouljaBoy. But I just want to, and we don't know if his followers increased or decreased because I don't have the numbers before he announced all of this Soulja game console stuff. But with 5.3 million people following him, I don't think him talking about a brand new video game console would have been a whisper if YouTubers didn't actually get in and talk about it. Like, you can say that YouTubers were milking this if you want to, that's fine, you can have your own opinion, but to say that YouTubers are the ones that gave him the most free publicity or so much free publicity, it's like, that people are calling out a criminal on criminal actions, right? Someone who commits crimes or who has committed this crime. That's what they're calling him out on. They're not saying go buy this. Now, granted, some people did purchase it, so of course it's like, why would you do that? And I get that 100%. The people who purchased it, YouTube channels to review it, I totally get it. It's like, no, don't do that. But at the same time, the fact that he has 5.3 million followers, when he tweets something, if people have them, because I know it's Twitter algorithm, so it can become a bit of an issue, because the people that I follow, sometimes I don't get their tweets, but I get their likes more than I get their actual freaking tweets. Still, point is that if you're following SouljaBoy, there are 5.3 million people who could have seen that before YouTube even started touching it, and then looking at these different articles that were posting about it. So it's just, I don't know, it's silly to put the blame only on YouTubers, as if nobody reads news off of YouTube, and as if nobody's following SouljaBoy on Twitter. just wanted to say that as we wrap this up. Hopefully the last video I do on SouljaBoy, maybe I'll talk about him if he, if this thing actually goes to court, or we hear how much he ends up settling for, if he ends up settling. I don't know. We'll see what happens in the future. But right now, I'm really happy to not be talking about him. I want to move on to other things. Thank you all so much for listening. And as always, I want to hear your thoughts on this. If you think that SouljaBoy should get jail time, if you think he should be fined heavily for what he's doing, if you're hoping he's one of those 100 plaintiffs, damn, I can't be. I've played too much Phoenix Wright to not know this. If you think he should be one of those 100 people or not, tell me what you think down below. And tell me what you think about the YouTube situation too. If you think YouTubers really were, giving him too much publicity, or if you agree with me and think, hey, other media outlets still do exist, by the fact that YouTube is doing well, they still exist. So either way, guys, thank you all so much. Love you all. Take care and tune in next time for another episode of Mad Rants. All right, guys. So see ya.